And guys, please, when somebody's on the panel, we will not only respecting people that I agree with us, guys, please remember. Even those that disagrees with us, we show them the same respect that you show us. Let's avoid, say, especially on the panel, on the comment section, you can deal with each other there. But when somebody is bold enough, like I usually say, people must come into the panel. When somebody is bold enough to come into the panel, let's not ridicule them and call them Maravastad tendencies. Is giving Maravastad this. I know Maravastad can be irritating sometimes, but they also deserve some respect. They are our friends, they are our colleagues, even though sometimes they behave in a particular manner, but let's not degenerate into those kind of contacts. So when somebody comes on the panel, let's accord him that respect and keep the discipline, keep the decorum that we preach on this life. I beg, guys. On the comment section, yeah, you can tear each other apart with respect, obviously, but when somebody's courageous enough to come on the panel, let's respect them the same way you showing us some respect. I beg. Loved in France. You see, I love this. People have always thought loved in France and Ed are the same persons. So today we've got them both on the panel. Let's differentiate who's who. Good evening.
Hi, Teteni. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Hi, official.
Hi.
Brenda, Fanele, and Tandolwetu.
Breathe Ed as well.
Ed as well. Oh, I can't see there. And Ed as well. Ed, the apparent loved in France.
Yes.
So, yeah, today is the day of clarifying some matters. Today, I want to clear some matters that I hear people saying about contradictions in the contents of the actual state confessions themselves. Then, in fact, what we've seen from the confessions is that the five, we see why the five were charged. Let's start with Muzi. Muzi implicates himself. So he's in. He implicates himself as one of the people who murdered Senzo. So we can do away with him. He further says he was contracted by two other men, Marco and Makimba Buthelezi. We move from that. He further identifies Kelly Khumalo as the mastermind. He further says that Senzo was the target. He says the two men said they were paid 100,000. He was actually paid 30,000. That's what Muzi is saying. Muzi also says the car that was used was Polo. Muzi says that the crime scene, the location was in Vosloorus. Muzi says they were dropped off at the corner. Muzi says his specific job in that crime, he was the guard. Muzi says Marco, one of the two men, had dreadlocks, a hoodie, and cap. Muzi also says Makimba, I'm not sure whether he said Makimba had a woolen shirt or woolen top or a woolen cap. Muzi also says that Marco shot Senzo. And Muzi also says the two told him that they did not rob in the house. And Muzi also says that after this, they drove to Basotho Hostel. And Muzi also tells us the next day, Marco called him to collect the money and said that Kelly paid them. And Muzi also tells us about two shots that were fired inside the house. Let's move on to Ntanzi. Ntanzi implicates himself. He identifies himself as one of the intruders. And as the second intruder, Ntanzi identifies Mncube, accused number 3, as the person who shot Senzo after a scuffle. Ntanzi also says Kelly ran. Ntanzi also tells us that when they entered the house, Mncube was the one who ordered them to lie down. Ntanzi also identifies a polo that was driven. And he also tells us the polo was driven by accused number 5. Ntanzi also tells us that they were at Basotho Hostel before and they drove to Basotho Hostel after the commission of the crime. Ntanzi also tells us Kelly Khumalo was the mastermind. Ntanzi also tells us he was recruited by accused number 4. Accused number 4, when he recruited him, it was over a phone call, and accused number 4 was also with accused number 3. And Ntanzi also tells us that he was paid in 2 installments. The first one was on the day of the murder, after the murder, for 15,000. The next day he was paid 30,000. And he says the money was the arrangement was made by who's this guy? Accused number 5. And Ntanzi also tells us about family feud of the Sibiya. And Ntanzi also tells us he did not go to Nongoma after the crime. He stayed in Davidton for a few days. After receiving his money, accused number 5 directed him to the taxi rank and he went back to Northwest. And Ntanzi, in essence, identifies accused number 5 as the organizer and driver, accused number 4 as the second guard, accused number 3 as the shooter, accused number 1 as the first guard outside. And Ntanzi also tells us that they robbed money inside the house and cell phones. Okay, that's the facts as I have them. Now let's link them, Kelly. Let's corroborate. I wrote it down because I'm tired of people misleading.
Yes.
Kelly Khumalo as the mastermind. Accused number 1 and 2 corroborate one another.
Yes.
The polo. Accused number 1 and 2 corroborate Zungu about the polo. Basotho Hostel. Accused number 1 and 2 corroborate Zungu. Zungu saw Ntanzi. I'm not sure whether he saw Muzi before the commissioning of the crime at Basotho Hostel. Zungu also and Ntanzi tells us he was at the Basotho Hostel before they went to commit the crime. And then Muzi tells us they drove back, and Ntanzi corroborates what Muzi says, that they drove back to Basotho. Both of them corroborate Zungu that after the crime they went to Basotho. So we can rest the case of Basotho Hostel. The accused themselves place themselves at Basotho Hostel. And Kelly Khumalo links with accused number 5 via cell phone records. We know a cell phone expert came to tell us. We don't know what the link is, but we know that Kelly Khumalo and accused number 5 had multiple phone communication. We also know that Kelly and accused number 3 had one picture of money bag, which looked similar in their cell phone. And the scene itself, accused number 1 corroborate one another in the sense that Senzo was the person who was shot. Senzo was shot in the chest. Kelly Khumalo was inside the house. And there were other people in the house, even though they disagree on the number of people. The crime itself happened between 7 and 8 p.m. They corroborate one another. It's also similar to what witnesses inside the house were saying. Suspects ran out of the house. Ntabi say, told us. Witnesses inside the house told us. Muzi and Ntanzi corroborate that they ran. The people who killed Senzo ran. Ntanzi says he was the first one to run. As he ran out, accused number 4 ran back inside the house, and he waited. He ran to the car, which was standing at a corner. And that car that was standing at the corner, accused number 1 and 2 corroborate one another that the car was parked at the corner. They waited. Accused number 3 came inside the car. Accused 2 came. Accused 3 came. And 4. So Ntabiseng was telling us the truth about seeing people who ran out of the house. So people who keep on saying that there were no people who ran outside of that house, the accused themselves tell us that. We can move from that. Let's come to Muzi. Muzi lied. You know, Dani, there's a saying that police will often tell you that when you speak to them that criminals and suspects lie all the time. It's nothing new. They know. But inside the lie, there's also some truth. Muzi tells us, for example, that the gun was sold to Mtobisi Sitol of Nongoma. We know for a fact that's not true. The gun was found with accused number 3, and he admits it's his gun. The same gun was confirmed to have been the murder weapon by ballistics in this case. So we can lay down, we can safely say Muzi lied in that aspect. So Gininda was right when he said they investigated this over and above getting the confessions themselves. They went to do their own extra investigations. And then we move. Accused number 3 had dreadlocks. That's what was seen by people inside the house. That's what Muzi tells us. One of the suspects had dreadlocks, even though he identifies a different person. And Ntanzi identifies the second intruder, the person who came with him, as accused number 3. So we can put that to rest. And Zungu himself said that accused number 3 had dreadlocks. So Zungu was right. He was telling us the truth. Let's move. Zungu told us, remember I told you about family feuds in the KZN? Yes. Zungu told us about fights within families.
Yes.
What did, is it Ntanzi who told us about the Sibiya brothers? The Sibiya, what I suspect, Lulama and who's the other one? There's another, Jabu. Yes. They fought, and their father, the man who was on TV crying as if he had lost someone, he was the one who mediated between them. So how was Zungu lying? Let's talk about them saying that Muzi says that nothing was robbed. In fact, Muzi lied. Kelly's cell phone, we don't know how many. Ntanzi says, as I was collecting cell phones. So we don't know whether when he collected them, he took them, but he says, as I was collecting cell phones. And Muzi says, there was no robber. They didn't take anything. But we know for a fact, Kelly's cell phone was taken and it pinged in Basotong hostel. So we can lay down that one, that Muzi in that aspect lied. Objective evidence was led, which contradicts what he was saying. So at this point, accused number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are linked to this matter. So what we need to know at this moment today is how the police eliminated Marco. And who's the other guy? Makimba. That's all we need to know. But at this moment, they're pretty much, the 5 people are the right people. It supports what the state is saying, that it was a premeditated murder. Accused number 1 and 2 tell us that this murder was planned. And they tell us that Senzo, they were hired by Kelly to kill Senzo for a fee. And they tell us that it was intended to be made out to be.
nna motswaka le mo peng ba re ke presitse yo I'm so glad ra ka emisa le letsogo ba re nna ke presitse nna
Eh.
Or should we let her talk?
I think Ufedit.
Oh,
Anyway, they always accuse me hore ke kata the ad breaks.
there she mutes.
Okay, umitile now.
Yeah. But what we need to know, as I was saying, was that how Marco and Makimba were eliminated.
Yes.
And what we need to know is more evidence on the connection between Kelly and the accused. But the accused themselves, so it's a lie to say that these people were not on the crime scene. Muzi was at the crime scene. He said so. He told us himself. Ntanzi told us that accused 3 was with him. They are the intruders that entered the Khumalo's house. So we don't necessarily, I think I've moved past the stage of trying to convince people to see logic. They keep on saying, this statement of Muzi contradicts everything. Yes, Muzi lied. Evidence, in fact, the things that he lied about, for example, the date of the murder. He says it was on a Saturday. How stupid does Muzi have to be? I think this is how Muzi has shown himself. I'm sorry to use such strong language, but Muzi is dumb. How do you say on the 20th? How do you say in 2020? Someone was murdered on the 27th, when we know for a fact he was murdered on a Saturday, when already at that moment it was worldwide known that Senzo was murdered on a Sunday. It was not in doubt. And you have people who are running the streets all over in social media, Twitter, everywhere, saying that Muzi contradicts. Muzi was just taking chances there. So that's what I wanted to say, Danny, that I'm satisfied. These confessions, what was read, just by that, what the minimum that was read there, supports the state's case. Thanks.
Thank you. Left in France. Indeed, Muzi took chances. Muzi thought he was smarter than the police, and somebody thinks it is the police who wrote those statements, and they made them look like they are not too accurate according to Fanele. But the police would have been extremely stupid to even suggest that the murder happened on a Saturday when all the accepted facts. I remember one day Judge Ratam Khwatlin saying, it is not disputed that Senzo Meyiwa was killed on the 26th of October 2014. There's no dispute that he was shot in the chest. That's not a dispute. So why on earth would police go and create a statement that says Senzo was shot and killed on a Saturday? Doesn't make sense. Muzi was simply taking his chances, attempting to send the police on a wild goose chase. Yes, that's how it's said. Thank you guys. We are sitting on 519,000 likes. Very slow according to our standards. Yesterday, by this time, we were over 1 million likes. So I guess today is Friday. People are relaxed. So I suspect we are going to stop early. And then Ed, where did you disappear to now? Ed, please come back. Unless if you are busy with
What, Danny?
Hey,
Oh, she's back. She's back. She's back.
Yeah,
go
let's
after.
take. We'll come back to you, Tandelo. To Ed, good evening and welcome back.
Good evening, family. Unfortunately, I have flu. Official minister, fancy face,
Hey,
Bradenzo. I see you, Bradenzo. I see you. What a beautiful. I think people who are doing law, this is such a beautiful moment for everyone who's actually studying law. You know,
Yes.
you can refer your thesis at some point, but I mean, this is a beautiful case. This is better than Oscar Pistorius. You know, this is one of the most, you know. Now I'm coming here for Fanele won't confuse. Fanele wa tlo re lahla. But anyway, Mshini, I think Mshini didn't. Somebody didn't. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm saying that
even
I'm here for Fanele, and I've got a few points for him. Firstly, he says, who hires unexperienced hitmen? You know, we have to look at what year was that. You know, this was one of a high-profile cases. First of all, people that they had to hit. Thirdly, how much money were they offered? Because remember, as much as you study criminology, you can never understand how the street works until you are in the street yourself, or you are a cop. You work within, you know, this is your job on a daily basis. You know, studying criminology doesn't mean that you know how criminals think. You are not in the street. You don't know what's happening in the streets, you know. But I will say that we have to look at the money that they were offered. Would that be enough for people who are actually experienced? 100K is nothing for 4 or 5 people. Let's look at that. At the age that they were at, mistakes were bound to happen. They were first timers. You know, if you look at most of those individuals that are actually sitting in court today, that was their first hit. I stand to be corrected still, you know. And then another point he said, they asked when they had when they were told about the hit. You would ask, I don't know if I don't know, but you would ask her, okay, which Kelly? It doesn't mean that when they mention Kelly, it automatically means Kelly Khumalo. Names are just names. It can mean anyone. So they had to ask, who are you talking about? Definitely they were told about the people, you know, but they had to ask if they didn't know. And then at the end of the day, after they were told about the matter, they understood who they actually are against. Another thing, somebody said, I think on the comment section, that these people were forced to lie because they were tortured. You know, Bradenzo, I have a cousin brother. I wish one day he'll come here. I've got a cousin brother who was very naughty in his early, teens. One day when we were sitting at home, came these 3 guys, very nice gentlemen, well-dressed, like colored, but speaking very fluent Tswana, like from that Tswana from Potchefstroom and Klerksdorp. They were having my cousin brother. Have you ever seen people who steal electricity after they attempt to steal, how they look like after that? My cousin brother looked like that. And when they came they said they're looking for a gun from him. Apparently he was arrested wherever. And then he told I think he was tortured to a point where he had to come home to say the gun is at my place, at my mother's house. But he was lying. He said, when we asked him later on, why did he lie? He said he was scared that he was going to be killed. So he wanted us to see who he was with, just to come home for us to see what happened to him. Apparently that department is called Moord and Roof. When they get you, Bradeni, you will tell the truth. After that, after they left my home, they went to actually get the gun where he put the gun, and they went back with him. Those people, Bradeni, they will put plastic on your face. They don't play, those people, So I think there's no one who can just come up with that or confess without that taking place. I mean, it's a skill, or I don't know how the cops get the truth, So I think if you're still in disbelief that these 5 people are the correct people, I think you need to go back and start watching the case on YouTube, wherever that you can, and I'm sure you also have saved lives, Bradenzo. People can actually refer to it from the beginning to how it came to where it is. These are the correct people. There's no mistake about that. And for now, we know that there is a mastermind, So I think we are still in a trial within trial last days. We will know further what's happening. Let's not actually, conclude on who this is. Let's just be patient and we'll get there. But believe you me, Baloyi doesn't play. He has never lost a case. I'm sure you do know that.
I don't know, Ed. I was once challenged somewhere else on the streets, and people were saying it's me who said Baloyi has never lost.
No, he has never lost a case. I also checked,
So I said, I've never said that. It's people on my life who said that. And I said I couldn't have said that because I don't have those statistics. So I think I must remind, because I'm going to be accused again one day that day you said. So I must remember that no, it's Ed who said that, and she's got the statistics to back herself up. So yeah, thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Brother Enzo. Thank you.
Prateni, just a quick one to add. I'm challenging few people. When did Senzo Meyiwa die, Prateni, in terms of the year?
2014.
It's 2014, right?
Yes.
Let's go and look at the murder cases of these guys and find out. Because the Nongoma case is 2018.
Yes.
In October. The only thing that was of 2012, it was a drug case.
Yes.
Of phosphorus. So let's go on the lookout and look if these guys, they ever answered any case prior to 2014. And if I'm not saying they are not there, there might be one or two, but majority of their cases, they come after the murder of Senzo Meyiwa.
Yes.
Because they might have gained courage and thinking they are all that, they can do it. But that is what I'm using on that submission.
Thank you, Official Minister. Who's next? I've lost. Okay, Tandolo, do you wanted to say something?
Okay. When you are arrested, right?
Yes.
Police, therefore, probably are following the procedure and whatever methods that they are using in terms of getting the truth out of you, which therefore becomes the interrogation process, right? So, in those methods that have been used by the police, in whatever sense, because there's this thing about he was given four slices for what? He was given tea, whatever the case may be. Those were the methods that they were using. Those were the mechanisms that they know, that they are trained for. Sometimes police will come because some guys don't refuse to give fingerprints. So what they will do, Pradeni, they'll bring a Coke for him, and they'll bring a glass, and they will pour the Coke for him. The minute he grabs, listen to this, he grabs it and then he drinks. We have DNA, we have fingerprints. So in those sense, that's what I'm saying. To dwell on whether it was 8 slices or it was a loaf, it was a quarter, it really doesn't matter, because now it also in these factors that become contradictional, because now if we're going to focus on Ugogo, I don't know if you've ever went to a Sangoma Pratin, but if you go to a Sangoma specifically for this type of job, you don't need money. You don't need money. You understand? So you will therefore tell Kongo, this is what we need and this is what we are going to have, because after the job they're going to have the money. Sangomas know this process. Those who are doing witchcraft know. And then Fanele says, I was very interested in his field, but I am confused at the fact that he wrote down there that the bullet was found a day after. We once spoke about the factors of a scene can be manipulated as well, whatever becomes hidden will therefore show up To me, it doesn't matter how many days it took, but also it can be a negative depending, you know. So it really doesn't matter. And then there's this, I wanted to share this with you about these things, that these small things. In my case, on my statement, paragraph 4, page 6, I spoke about energy drink. And the defense came for me because when I was giving the statement, and I'd written it, but now I'm in a trial within a trial. And when I was giving the statement, these guys say, oh, I said it was I said it was an energy drink, and they asked me which energy drink. I said I'm not quite sure. It could have been a Powerade. Yeah, they came for me because finally they had something to grab on. Now, what I say to him that it really doesn't matter, because us black people, whatever becomes an energy drink, all of them are energy drink. Powerade, doesn't matter. Red Bull, they all fall under the same thing. So it doesn't matter that money that what we drank. What matters is that we had an energy drink and we bought it. So small things that people are trying to focus on now, it really frustrates me, because it doesn't matter. The bigger details here, did they go? Yes.
Yes.
Does the evidence point to this? Yes. Yeah, Brandon.
Thank you, Tandulu too. User 2, is it 213 or 2113?
No, it's me, Pradeni.
Yes, Pradeni.
This user just came on, Pradeni.
Oh, I don't see you, me too.
Okay.
My apologies.
I did it.
I thought you are busy. I saw something. I didn't see you. My apologies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pradeni. The
Yes.
funnel says that with experienced Inkabis, they will prefer a drive-by shooting or something,
Yes.
but not go into a house where they might be cornered. But here we're talking about people who can, amongst them, someone who can go into a stadium full of people and shoot someone. Will that person be scared to go into a house where there are about 7 people to kill someone?
No.
You know, so finally, things are not as simple as they seem. It depends on what kind of people we're talking about. Okay? The other thing, the reason why Muzi, okay, at least this is how I'm thinking about it, why Muzi will not implicate the others. I have seen in one of the podcasts and in the social media in general where Mapisa's sister was talking, she was effectively saying most of those guys are related by blood. They are related by blood, except for Ntanzi. That is why Muzi didn't implicate them. He's related to those guys, you know. But there's, I think it was Loved in France or Ed who says, whenever a criminal is lying, in that lie, there's an element of truth. Look at the names that Muzi gives. Marco. There's no Marco, there's Carlos. There is a Mthokoziseni or Mtobis or whatever. The name is for accused number 3, but the surname is different. That's the person that he says, no, the gun was sold to or whatever. But in this instance, the gun is found with accused number 3, who bears the same name. You know? So that one of saying whenever someone is lying, there's an element of truth. So he was just twisting things a little bit, you know, not entirely, you know. And the issue of the money back, Bradeni. Remember, Gininda told us there was a picture in the phone of accused number 3. That was also found in Kelly's phone. And Ntanzi says in his confession, there was money that was taken from the house. And when they got to the hostel, it got paid. So my theory in that instance is that the money that paid for this hit was in the house. And the reason why that picture was sent to accused number 3 was to show him the bag that contained the money when they entered the house. Hence, the picture was sent to him, and he was one of the people that entered the house because he had to go and retrieve the money from the house, you know? And the other thing is the sketch for the neighbor. Someone was asking, no, they gave a sketch of a neighbor. They never said it was accused 1 or 3 or whatever, you know? But who gave that sketch? It's the Khumalos who gave that sketch. And even the guy that was implicated, he said, you know, I was so confused. Why did these people give my sketch? Because they know me. Senzo used to come here. I used to wash his car, you know? But when the police come, they could have just directed them to my house and not give them my sketch because they know me, you know? So it was not anyone but the Khumalos who gave that sketch. But now we know why they did that, because they got something to hide, according to Muzi and Ntanzi's confessions, because it was Kelly who ordered the hit, you know? And now we know why they cleaned the crime scene. It's because they knew Kelly was involved, you know? And the issue of cell phones, there was a phone that was taken, and Ntanzi says there were cell phones. I'm gonna come up with a theory again, Bradeni. I think those guys took Kelly's phone in the house, and they also took Senzo's phone, but they later gave Senzo's phone to Kelly. They might have removed it from the house, but they later gave it to her. You know, that's why Ntanzi is talking about phones and not a phone. And the issue of okay, no, I just forgot my other point, Bradeni, but it's fine. Let's give others a chance. But that's my theory.
Thank you, me too.
Pradeni,
Yes.
me too. Thanks for bringing that point, my brother.
Official
those who want
before you engage me too, Miss Tang, please mute your microphone. Okay, you can proceed, official minister.
Thanks for bringing that, me too, because that is a very important point we are bringing. I think I'm going to challenge those people who know that how Ingavis operate, that Ingavis will never go into a house and do that. It shows some amateurish, what. Here are the Ingavis. They follow AKA from the airport to the hotel. They follow him to the restaurant, but they decide to shoot him in front of people where they are full of people. Can we ask what kind of Ingavis are these? Because these guys, it was not for the first time they are doing that execution. There is a video that was trending on YouTube where they killed somebody in a mall. So when we ask these questions, or when we classify these Ingavis, we must understand that this thing doesn't have a manual. People make decisions, they move on those decisions. For an example, this guy, AKA, according to the police, he was supposed to be shot inside the car, but they made the U-turn and decided taking him out in front of people, where there are even cameras and all that. Why they decided that, we didn't know. We are not them. But that is possible. If that what they did to AKA is possible, why isn't it possible for Senzo to enter the house? if they can do that in public view. Thank you.
Thank you, official minister. And if we have to follow Me Too's theory, we would also have to remember that when the police arrived at the hospital, Kelly Khumalo was leaving the hospital, and as to where did she go, we don't know. So very interesting theory, Me Too. User 2113, you can unmute your microphone. Good evening.
Evening, Braden. Yes, I'm surprised that my account, it says user 23. I'm one of the people that used to engage last year. I remember you said you are watching Big Brother, the fan of Big Brother. So,
Yes.
can you hear me, Braden?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. So I'm shocked with like, hey, your eyes are full now. You're focusing on Big Brother too as well, yeah, ne?
Oh, I can see your name. Your account shows user 2113, but below this, Bongwenkosi.
Yeah, oh, okay, yes. I used to engage. You remember me, right?
Yes, I remember you now.
Yeah, so I'm saying like, my focus is on Big Brother now, not on Dennis channel. But anyway, I was saying, there was one user once engaged and said he advised people to go and listen to Power 98.7 or at 4.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yes, so Mina, my I normally hear the analysis from there. I don't get time like to listen all the case. So I was saying like, here's the interesting part, right? The reason why these people, they contradicted themselves. The other one was outside of the room. The other one was inside the room, and that accused that was outside, he saw everything that was inside, what was happening, the scaffold and everything, but he was outside. So now also the other point that I wanted to say is that remember the yesterday's judgment, yesterday's ruling, they still yet to contest it. It's not like remember, like if the state is to whatever they are to say, they will still have to prove that this thing that they are saying is true. They did not manipulate whatever that the evidence that they're gonna present. So we still have got a long way to go, because we'll find ourselves like maybe the defense will say they will contest the ruling as time goes on. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Bongwenkosi. Okay, let me check the next name properly. Mabiyo. Good evening, and you can unmute the microphone.
Prati, official minister, no can say we comment section. Can you please assist me with an interpreter? Because maybe, what can I say? Maybe I won't able to put straight on English. Maybe I will be caught. I'm not.
Yeah, just be quiet.
Okay, Prati. Okay. Engikubona cause bengisemsebenzi nje manje angazi kwenzakaleni ama proceeding today, kodwa nje ngifuna ukusho nje nani mhlawumbe ke nebuye ngelinye iso. Alright, alright, okay. uMakhimba ebeboshiwe, uMakho ebeboshiwe, uKhalosi, okay, it's fine. uKhalosi akanalo i-gold teeth, azange sebe nawo futhi namhlanje, azange sebe na bene-thread, okay, it's fine, bene-thread by then uSinphiwe, I'm not sure ebephana uGininda ebephana ngestatement sakhe ukuthi okay uGininda uyena utshela uSiphiwe ebemphe istatement ukuthi beku 2018 or 2019 or bekunini, but from 2018 2019 Simphiwe ebeboshiwe wagwetshwa bamphoyizina ejele. Mabemphoyizina ejele, emva kwalokho akakhumbulanga lutho. Wafika uGeninda wambopha, basho bathi okay, wabuthelezi sizocela ke manje imbopha nisibuyisele yena if kube anikuthole nikufunayo. Ngempela bambuyisa. Okumangazayo kuyikuthi bathi uGeninda statementini sakhe, okay ngisho nje, uthe ukhulume ngesilungu ekubeni istatement sakhe uthe usiproduce ngesilungu, ngangizekho lapho ngaproduce, usiproduce ngesilungu, then wenyuke eGoli ezoba Q-Marshal eze force rollers. Kodwa umethi uma ngiyabheka uSiphiwe yena bhuti woMakhimba, ubhuti wabo bonke laba bandla leli, ngoba uzungethi uCarlos intwana kaButhelezi, intwana kaSiphiwe ifikele kuSiphiwe, then uMakhimba ebeboshiwe. By then wafika uGeninda azobopha uMakhimba eqala kabusha. Mebopha uMakhimba eqala kabusha, wakuthola ukuthi uMakhimba ebeboshiwe, wamshiya wathatha accused number 5 uNkani Ntuli. So bengifuna ukuthi mhlawumbe ke nibheke lapho ukuthi uMakho beboshwe noMakhimba, ukuthi benibheke lapho ukuthi mhlawumbe nani ke ngokweni kunijula ngeke ngibavikele ukuthi benzani ngale kwa marketing ngoba sikwesitele nathi. So
awuthi ngikubuze Mabiyo, uyabazi la madoda? Ngathi uyabazi.
Ngiyabazi kakhulu.
Okay, yeah, ngiyabona ukuthi ngathi uyabazi.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
uMakho mfowethu, uMakho
abafowethu impela, abafowethu impela nje, uyabona nje. And then yabona ukuthi mhlawumbe bakwenza lokho, if bakwenze ngendlela bakwenze ngayo angali, kodwa nje uMakhimba wayeboshiwe, uMakho wayeboshiwe. Then enginakho futhi enginayo show yakho uNtanzi akazani mhlawumbe noCarlos, uCarlos uMaphisa uNkani, labo bantu bo3 bayazana, labo bo3 showcase show nakho lokho bayazana. Accused number 2 and number 1, ay unumber 1 mhlawumbe ngabazi futhi, kodwa accused number 2 mhlawumbe ngaba amangawaqamba yena ukuthi mhlawumbe akuthi wangena kanjani, angazi wangena kanjani kule ndaba yabo, because mhlawumbe ngaba amangawaqambayo ukuthi mhlawumbe ngoba umuntu obesebenza ngendlela achaza ngayo, because nami angimazi.
Okay Mabiyo, awuthi stolo, ngicela umute microphone ne.
Sharp ngikhona.
Yeah, ungahambi. Okay guys, Mabiyo is asking a question that how could some of these guys be involved, because as far as he knows, Marco Buthelezi, Makhimba Buthelezi were arrested around 2018, 2017, somewhere there. So how could they be involved? He also says, as far as he knows, Geninda went to the prison to go and arrest Marco or Makhimba. I'm not sure. And I don't know if this is the family or what. Somebody said to him, you can take him, but please return him. And then he's also touching on Simphiwe Buthelezi. Remember, Simphiwe Buthelezi is the one who gave a statement and led the police to Gongani Ntanzi. So he says he was killed as well. And we didn't know how he was killed, but now Mabiyo is telling us that he was poisoned in prison. That's Simphiwe Buthelezi. That's the guy who led the police to Gongani Ntanzi. And then he's also talking about Makhimba. He says he's a big brother to all of these guys. And I think he says at some stage Makhimba worked as a Q marshal. So I asked him to pause and asked him if he knows these guys, and he says yes, he knows them very well. So I had requested him to stay on the panel, but seemingly he's gone. Maybe he will return to come and give us more information, because I just wanted to quickly translate what he was saying without losing the essence.
Yeah, I have the question or two. Yes, Mabio. Yes, Bafu, awungitshela uMakimba noMakho noSimpiwe barelate kanjani?
Mabio?
Unmute, okay, sengikhona. Ngiyabona. Umakho, okay, uSiniphiwe ubhuti omdala, uMakho ulandela ke noma ke kwehlukene abobaba. Then bese kuba uMakhimba okugcina. uSiniphiwe omdala kube uMakho bese kuba uMakhimba.
Official Minister, are you satisfied?
Yeah. Okay, so uSimpiwe washona ne? Ngifuna ku-understand ukuthi washona kanjani.
Okay, ushone uMakho oqala. Udutshulwa amaphoyisa Springs ngaso Benoni, like Benoni or Davidson or Springs lapho. Usho ukuthi Benoni nje leyo ndawo leyo. Then uSiniphiwe ushone eGola. Angazi noma weneliseka official.
Okay. Hayi. Ngiyabonga baba.
And then
Danke baba.
uMakho ushone nini? Bamdubule nini amaphoyisa?
If I'm not mistaken, maybe 4 years back or 3 years back.
Okay. Okay, now Siyakuthola Buti, thank you for the information. Thank you for your comment. At least it helped us understand some of these guys and some of the people. Thank you. Siyabonga.
Uncle.
And abantu bayabuza la, uMakhimba usasekhona?
uMakhimba namanje if uGinindu yamazi ukhona, if emdinga engamthola because ufike wambopha eqala kusho njengamanje ugwetshiwe ukhona lapha eNcome njengamanje useNcome njengamanje.
Okay, and wena kuphi?
I'm around eGoli, ngikhona lapha eGoli.
Okay. Okay, sure. Thanks, Mabio. Okay, guys, official minister was asking Mabio some few questions of clarity as to how these guys are relating. Official minister, can you please, I didn't catch up that description.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Umabio said even though they may have different fathers, the older one is Simpiwe, who was sick and unfortunately passed away. Simpiwe Buthelezi is the one whose affidavit was read in court by Kininda.
Yes.
Marco is the second one shot by police in Benoni or Davidton around 2020, 2021. And then the last one is Makimba, who is still alive. And if Kininda wants him, he knows where to get him. So, but what is then clear, Bradeni, is that what Mabio says is very important because it connects with what other people have been saying. Remember, people have been telling us that you came to my place looking for Marco Buthelezi.
Yes.
They first arrested Marco Buthelezi and what and all those stories. So what is common is I can assure you that the investigation team is going to come I'm not sure if it's Kininda who's going to come and tell us that they have, after they got the confessions and all the information from different people, they have done investigation. And part of those investigation, he will use the term to say they were negative. So how do we know this? Because most people who know these guys, they do acknowledge that at some point they were involved with Kininda, which means they were either called or arrested or whatever that happened. They were questioned. An investigation was done. And as the results, it was found that, in fact, that thing of Muzi was false alarm, but there is an element of truth. So we are not going to pursue these guys. But on the other side, that's when they started to understand that there is a reason for going deeper, because if you have been with us, you will know that when Muzi made his first confession, Prateni, at that particular time, Kininda didn't know that there is Mthobisi Mncube, and who is arrested somewhere else with a gun that he used in Alexander. It was only after the confession that Kininda sent Ntanzi for testing for gold tooth, because there was a gold tooth. And at that time, he was alert that these guys, they've got a habit of lying. So even though Ntanzi didn't say he has got a gold tooth, because we know based on investigation that Muzi lied to us, let's test this guy and find out if he's got a gold tooth. The result came negative. But we then realized that based on the pictures that were there, which Munisi didn't dispute, Carlos had a dreadlocks and a gold tooth. So, but then Kininda went further as part of the investigation to say, let's validate what Ntanzi is saying about the gun. Mangena, go and fetch that gun from Umchali and test it. That was tested and it matched. So I think the investigation team investigated each and every component. They didn't take it as a gospel. They investigated each and every component. So don't be shocked if people were accused and were questioned, called for questioning and released. Everything was investigated, including Zung himself. He was investigated up until they were certain that this is where the evidence is leading us and we are following it. Thanks, Mabio, for some of the clarity, my brother.
And let's quickly answer you, Mabio, because you were asking a question as to how come these guys are implicated when they were arrested or when they were in jail around 2017, 2018. Remember, Mabio, this matter happened way back in 2014. And we know in 2014 that Carlos Mncube was not arrested yet. Gongani was not arrested yet. Mapisa was not arrested. Muzi was not arrested. Gongani Ntanzi was not arrested. He was working at the mines. So when the crime was committed in 2014, these guys were not in jail. Some of the matters that took them to jail, they committed them 2014, 2015, 2016. So when Senzo was killed, that's the important part. They were not in jail. Do you agree, Mabio? Uyavuma?
Angivumi brading. Bengikhuluma ngakho 2013 ibandla beliboshiwe ngo-2013 ngisho njalo mina 2013 ibandla beliboshiwe engathi mhlambe uKarlos ebengaphandle uMaphisa unkani ngingekho sure ngayo cause ngicabanga ukuthi uMaphisa mhlawumbe uboshwe 2014 or 2015 angikho sure angeke ngiqamba amanga lapho
uMaphisa 2015. No,
yes if it's 2015 uKaro yes kodwa nje uMakho Makimba 2013 2014 bebeboshiwe lapho
Yeah, maybe that's why
then
Wabalanda and Wababuyis.
sesho ngo-2014 sesho ngo-2014 2014 labo ababalala umakima noma beboshiwe lapho
Okay,
ngisho labo bebeboshiwe lapho
okay.
yeah.
Ngiyakuthola Butwa. And then
And lapho inkinga ayikho because we can agree singazwana ukuthi bebaboshiwe mfowethu
yes.
labantu labo Marco nabo Makini, but uyabona le group le ise court le uNtanzi uMuzi uNtanzi uCarlos uMaphisa and uNkani was arrested ngo-2015 so uCarlos naye waboshwa nge-2015 noMaphisa futhi so and then boMuzi later on so labo they were outside bafu that's why uKininda asanga ababuyisela back because bayathinteka uyangithola.
Okay, ngiyakuthola official kodwa ke akuna stress ke angeke ngisho ukuthi ngithini kodwa uNtanzi I'm sure case akazado Carlos then into kodwa angazi mase beboshiwe uNtanzi ukuthi bekwenza kabe bethola lapha ifoni wafuna ukuthi yaxhumana kanjani ke noCarlos ngiyakhuluma nje ke manje angizokufihla wacela amanamba kaCarlos ngamncisha ukuthi mhlawumbe ngingazi ukuthi mhlawumbe namaphoyisa bazobe bexoxana ngamncisha so emveni kwalapho akuphindanga futhi wakhuluma nama ngazi noma mhlawumbe amanamba cause amanamba wawafuna komunye umuntu ebesebenza nemayini wafuna ukuthi ubani ongazana noCarlos wamdirector kumina wasefuna amanamba kaCarlos atholakala ku hayi ngangakhona ukutholana nawo up until bemthathe from Sun City bemse Gosmanpoor le Pretoria.
Okay, last one baba, uyamwazi uZungu lo wephoyisa lo?
Mabio?
uzungu wephoyisa noGwabini uyabazi laba bantu
Hayi
labalisa
angibazi.
Siyabonga baba.
Ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabonga Mabio.
Danko ngisekhona ngehlela ngezansi. Ungikhiphe ngihlela ngezansi kulalela.
Danko. Okay, guys. Mabio tells us that he knows these guys. And one thing that he confirms again was that Gongani Ntanzi definitely does not know Carlos. Accused number 3. So he says after Ntanzi was arrested, he called somebody looking for Carlos's numbers. And that person referred Ntanzi to Mabio, the guy who was talking now. And I think Mabio says Wamngisha. If I understand that correctly, it simply means he did not give him those numbers. Now we can start trying to analyze official minister if this information is to be validated. Chico, please.
Iyakhonkotha lenja lapho Tixo. Awumute lapho lenja le iyakhonkotha.
So we may need to, I don't think we may have time to validate this information, official minister, but we can deduce certain conclusions out of what we're hearing. If indeed Ntanzi, after he was arrested, he wanted Carlos' number, that means Mabena was waking him. One can only conclude that Mabena was busy working. He was working Ntanzi and he was getting somewhere, but Mabio did not play the game.
Yes.
Yes, because
Wamcisha lama namba lawo.
yes, and Mabio is giving us another important information now, which clarifies what Muzi Sibiya was doing when he mentioned Marco Buthelezi and Makimba. As much as Mabio is not sure about when was Carlos accused number 3, number 4, and number 5 were arrested, he's definitely sure that Makimba and Marco Buthelezi by 2013 or 2014, they were already in jail. So, which means Muzi was smart. Muzi was sending the police on a wild goose chase. Giving the police people that he knew would not be found. But the police, Gininda got to know where these guys are. He went after them. He went to investigate them. And probably he could also find this information that Mabio is giving us today. That no, these ones were in jail at that time, and there's no evidence that they were released. That's why Gongani, accused number 5, told us that Gininda came eKalobusha Azolando Buthelezi. Watu Buthelezi uyatinteka. Gininda came and said he's arresting Buthelezi. It's Buthelezi who is implicated, and Jigi he's no longer arresting Buthelezi, he's coming back for us. This story is coming nicely together. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together nicely. So yeah, Mabio, your information was extremely helpful.
Thanks, Mabio. The story is storying.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks.
And I don't think they will come after you, Mabio. What you said is already out there. It's information that is publicly available. So I don't think there's any danger to you. But it would appear you are very much in those cycles. But we appreciate. Siyabonga. Okay, who's next? I lost track now. I think Miss Thang, you are next.
Okay, thank you, Bradeni, official ministers, is Brenda, Tandoletu, Street Preacher, the panel, and the listeners. Sorry, I had my mic on for a while. I hadn't noticed that. Accept my apology on that. But very quickly to my point, I think every time I've joined the panel, I always start with the sort of disclaimer to say I'm for the defense. But as the pieces join together, I can't help but say a big part of me feels like we may have the right people in court, but a few things I'm still trying to put my head around. So I just want to raise some of the things I'm at conflict with or that don't seem to make sense to me based on the reading of the confessions that we had today. I'll start with Sibiya because after Mabio just left, I think the point on Sibiya is quite top of my head. That Sibiya seems to lie and mislead the court using names of people who are probably maybe arrested or don't exist or whatever the story is. And yet it is of recent that Judge Rata accepted these confessions, saying they were freely and fairly made. I understand it's a ruling, not a judgment. It can still be stepped back on. But I know Judge Rata says I'm functi official. Once I've made a ruling for that moment, it runs. I can't really go back on it unless I really have to. So my point being, if Sibiya confessed freely and fairly, why would you say I want to get this off my chest, I want to talk, but you are, making up a story that doesn't exist? It would feel to me as if there must have been some duress or some coercion of some sort for him to have said, okay, I'll talk, but creates a story. Then moving on to Ntanzi, it is Ginida's testimony in court that he actually had intelligence that Ntanzi was SA's biggest gunman. We hear that story that he was the biggest gunman selling guns all over South Africa. Yet when we look at the evidence, we paint or we see Ntanzi as a rookie, someone who's not so experienced, gets in with a knife. Carlos is the one who says, Pansi, cell phone le mali. Ntanzi is the one running around getting the cell phones, picks up some money, runs back to the car. Behaves to me like someone who's inexperienced, but it is Ginida's testimony that Ntanzi was the biggest gunman. So all that is still a bit iffy in my head for now. And also the issue of Rapado saying Ntanzi was shining. He was clean. But it is evidence in court that Buteles, Ntanzi's friend, gave him 500 rand for soap because he was smelling. So I feel that's a bit, there are certain pieces that just don't piece together. And also just the last two, when we look at Zungu and Zungu's testimony, it says 1, 2, and 3 came in first, then 4 and 5 followed. So when we now look at the confessions, it's as if the order was somehow reversed. It's as if number 1, who is Muzi, had a less important role. It's more Mapisa, who was more to the scene, who would have run with Carlos and Ntanzi. So it's a bit of a scrambled eggs there. I'm not too clear on that. And then finally, just the question that, okay, now that the mastermind's name is out, now that the mastermind is being implicated more strongly in the confessions, is Kelly above the law, or are we equal in front of our constitution? It's 10 years after this thing happened. She still walks free. If I was to have something happen at my house and I clean the crime scene or do certain things, certainly I wouldn't be free. So I find that as people, we should also question those things. Even if justice does come, if justice is delayed, it is denied. She has enjoyed freedom, and these guys who she probably collaborated with have had their freedom, taken away. I feel even though if Baloyi has a strategy or the state has a strategy, still there's been a misjustice in that sense. Because if accused number 6, if others were arrested based on them being mentioned in confessions and by informers, then there's no reason why she should be walking free. Then finally, just to say we should be kind to each other. With this case, the streets have been divided. I straddle from corner to corner for, getting an opinion here and there. But at the end of the day, I think we are all on the same path, because one group are saying the state is okay as it is, but another group are questioning, saying, okay, while the state could be right, there are certain pieces that don't make sense. For example, who did Kelly call in Malberton? She must have called a cop who said to those cops, go away. So there could be certain hidden pieces that don't make sense and make it hard to take things as they are. And as people, we must learn to question the system that governs us, the system that we put in governance. So it's okay to question those things. And that's my closing remark. Thank you.
I agree with you, Ms. Then. Thank you. Street Preacher, I think you are next. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Tandolwetu, Fanele. Good evening, comment section. What a time to be alive, Bradeni. What a time to be alive. And it can only be on Denny Madanzo's platform, nowhere else, where people like Mabio finally come out and feel free to come and give us pertinent information that seem to be simple, that may seem to be invaluable, but to the people who have been following the case, it's very, very vital information that helps us to understand the information that has not been brought before the court at the moment. What a time to be alive, Pradeni. It's quite revealing and interesting. Suffice to say, my view is, looking at Ntanzi and Sibiya's confessions, I think I see two different motives between the two. Remember, the other one was entering into a plea deal with the state, which, according to Mchiako, at some point did not go through and ended up Mchiako being fired for reasons that we have discussed and spoken about on this live. In my view, Ntanzi wanted to give his honest truth, nothing but the whole truth, hoping for that plea deal to go through. Hence, he stated things as they happened, as they happened on the fateful night when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So that is why you'll find that a lot of things that Ntanzi said can be corroborated with events that were detailed by the witnesses in the trial earlier. Yet on the other case, Muzi was trying to be smart in a way, by giving the police names of people who exist but who were not at the crime scene. As you rightfully put it, he wanted to send police on a wild goose chase, because he was giving the police names, because initially one would think that the Marcos, the Makimbas, they're fake names. But if going by what Mabio is saying, if he can be trusted for his word that it is true, it means that Sibiya was giving names of people who exist, but he just didn't want to out the actual people that he had. And one thing that we are noticing from all this, Pradeni, if what Mabio is saying is supposed to be taken as the truth, it shows that there is a pattern in how these Inkabis operate. They operate on bloodhood, on trust, on brotherhood. We can relate to the AKA case where we've got 4 brothers that are implicated in a similar case. And it's not difficult to believe that this pattern is also exhibiting in what happened to Senzo. That the people, they all of them didn't need to be experienced. If we are going to debate the issue of experience of the Inkabis, maybe 1 or 2 of them just needed to be experienced, and they recruited their fellow people who were interested in the field. Hence, you find the Sibiya coming in, the Ntulis coming in, and probably the Ntanzis. So this explains a lot of things on how the Inkabi the racket operates. And I'm very, very happy that Mabio came at a critical time, that we wanted to understand a lot of these pieces that we finally are putting together to understand the whole case as it unfolded. So in closing, Bradeni, I'm just going to give a synopsis of Kelly's behavior, why it can never be doubted, it can never be with any shred of doubt that she was part of this case. We can tell by the reaction that she did in the house when a scuffle unfolded. Her behavior amidst a gun that was being pointed at the people in the house. She behaved in a manner that is questionable, that caused Senzo to react. That is my belief. Number 2, I want to believe that she has something to do with the cleaning of the crime scene. The lady who was given an instruction to clean the crime scene, someone, I bet my last cent that it is Miss KK who gave that instruction that the house should be cleaned. How she behaved on the fateful night when she refused to attend to the police that came at the house that she refused to attend to the police that came at the Thank you, Bradeni. She refused to attend to the police. Probably in her heart, in her mind, she was not sure what was happening, whether the guys had been caught or not. So in a way, she just decided not to attend to the police, because I want to believe if she was a genuine innocent person, when the love of your life, the father of your child, has been killed, you would probably be in a position to do everything that the police are requiring, cooperate and over and beyond and above what the police required. But she locked herself in the house. And so her behavior has been questionable. You spoke about the watching brief. Why was she interested in appointing a watching brief over the case where she was claiming to be 100% innocent? That is questionable behavior. That is questionable behavior on Kelly Khumalo. And when the day, which is coming very soon, she is going to account, she is going to answer for her actions. Pradeni, I'm so happy today. I'm very, very, very happy. If there is anything that has happened today, is giving Mabio an opportunity to tell us what he knows. how much he knows, how much or how little he was involved in this case. The pieces have finally come home, and the pieces are finally getting together. Wherever you are, Senzo Meyiwa, wherever you are, Senzo is giving us a sign. Senzo is sending the Mabios to come and tell us some of this information that we might have never had known. So I'm very happy, Bradeni, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Street Preacher. Citizen Opinion Network, good evening.
Yo, Pradeni, I was falling asleep. Shoo, it's busy today for a Friday, eh? I was wondering when I was gonna come on. I was like, it's been a while. I'm
Yeah,
to
I
say
was feeling
something.
for you.
um, um, yeah. Good evening, official minister. Good evening, Tando, Bradeni, everyone on the panel. I'm a bit late, man, but it was juicy. I think it's been lit today for a Friday, to be quite honest. We had Groove coming in, we've got Dogs coming in, we've got Dikotle, Lady Tatsuang. I mean, it's honestly, for a Friday, it's been awesome. Thank you very much for people who contributed. So yeah, I've got a couple of issues that I want to grind, and I've got some questions as well. So let me start with just overall comments, right? I think when I look at the people that come on board, sometimes I wonder, are people intending to vent? Because there's a lot of venting that's happening here, and sometimes I'm trying to read and understand whether people are making points or it's just a venting session. But it's been good because the likes of Fanele brought in some good points, even though they are questionable. But we can work with that. So I wanted to ask you, Braden, because you mentioned that Kelly Khumalo was originally on the state's witness list, right? I want to check that, the correctness of that, right? That's my first question. And the reason I'm asking is because surely at the beginning of the trial, because we had the confessions already, the state already knew that Kelly Khumalo was implicated. Then for me, that would not make sense for her to be on the witness list. And by that time, we had the J50 already, right, on file, just waiting to be executed up until a certain point when perhaps the confessions have been admitted into court. That is my first question. And then the next question is around Mjiago. I've been hitting my head against the wall, wondering why is it that he has never been called by both parties, either the state or the defense? What is it? What is Mujako a fictitious character? Like, where's Alang? I'm like, this is a trial within a trial. This piece of evidence is very important because it links to the confession of Ntanzi, right? Because it supposedly he was represented by Mjiako during the offering of that confession. So I was really wondering and wanting to understand what could be the reason. Then the third question is...
Before you go to
Okay.
the first one, Citizen, let's deal with the first two before we
Okay.
forget them. Kelly Khumalo being on the state witness list, yes. Advocate George Baloyi has confirmed that multiple times. It was the then advocate Tefo Malesela, who used to ask, is the state intending on calling Kelly Khumalo or not? And Baloyi's answer was consistent. She is on the state witness list. Now, whether Baloyi knew whether he was going to arrest her at a later stage, I don't think is that much of a factor to him. Kelly and the people who were in the house were listed as state witnesses from the onset, from the day of the murder, because they were treated as victims, because they told the police that they were robbed. So from that moment, they became the victims, they became state witnesses. But as the investigations continued, developed, the police and the prosecutors knew very well that Kelly would come at a different court, not this court, as a witness. But they left her on the witness list because she also did not see them coming at her.
Yeah.
Now, number 2, Dominic Mjiako. I can assure you, 100% conviction. He's not a fictitious character. He does exist. He is an attorney, qualified and admitted way back in 2012, 2013. He worked for crime intelligence as a legal advisor at some stage.
Yes.
And later he became an advocate. And why is everybody not calling him? The state cannot call him. Section 201 of the Criminal Procedure Act, it is clear about that. No legal practitioner, whether qualified in South Africa or outside South Africa, may be called in criminal proceedings to testify against their clients. 201 is unambiguous, so the state cannot call him. But that Section 201 gives the client a discretion to waive that right, that prohibition, that privilege. So only Gongani Ntanzi, through his lawyers, could call him Mjiako, but they chose not to do so. You can ask yourself why.
Yeah. Okay, I'll digest that. And think about it further. So, okay, let's quickly move. I know somebody was complaining about 5 minutes, or so I'm trying to keep things short.
Yes.
So on the testimony of Mr. Zungu, the police officer who came with a bombshell, like that was a blindsider. I mean, this person just came out of nowhere and had this enormous evidence that's sort of like a game changer. He implicates all the accused. He says he's there, but the main character here is Gwabini. Now, my question again is, why is Gwabini not featuring in the trial? Is it because he might be a hostile somebody, witness, or they feel that even if they subpoena him, he will still be hostile? So I'm not quite sure. That's why I wanted to bring it to the forum. Yeah. And then, okay, so the other questions, I think, for me, is just remarks and the money factor, right? So I know that sometimes we take information and we quickly digest it and make it true. The money factor for me, Ntanzi, in his testimony, this is now something that is in the record, right? He got 15,000 rands and then later got 30,000 rands. And that's what I heard. I don't know if it is so. This then amounts to 45,000 rands for one person. So I'm a bit surprised, unless if or the way I read it is that Gongani, who is the organizer, coordinator, might have received more money and subcontracted to the rest of the guys, because it doesn't make sense that out of the 100,000 rands that is being branded about, and Ntanzi would get 45. What would happen to the rest of the 4 guys? So that is just my opinion, and I'd like to hear what you guys also say. And then I think on the issue of why Kelly Khumalo is not yet arrested, I could quickly make reference to the Tshofatso Pule case. May her soul rest in peace. Remember, in that case, the killer or the person who did the crime was prosecuted first, even though they knew who the mastermind was, but they went after him later when the trial was concluded, which convicted the person who did the job. So in that way, that the case against the mastermind becomes stronger, and that is most probably why Kelly Khumalo is not yet arrested, because the evidence that the police have is the confessions, of which the people can no longer testify in court and say exactly what happened, as well as the money back. So I think NPA feels that that is not sufficient for them to prosecute Kelly. And then I also wanted to comment on, I hear people now saying, but why is it that people are being killed in the houses instead of a drive-by? Uh, and this reminds me of a story where somebody says, Inkabis don't shoot with one bullet. They use multiple bullets. And I was like, guys, come on. I mean, we're not that fickle, right? So let's apply our mind. I mean, people who kill for whatever reason, and if people are hungry, will kill for 100,000 rands or 2,000 rands. A case in point, Rosemary Ndlovu used to hire Nkabi for 5,000. So I mean, anything can happen, guys. You can be killed anywhere. It can happen. These things do happen in South Africa. So yeah, I think as South Africans, I've realized that people are also in denial. Even if you can provide evidence, Bradeni, in front of them, they will still say no, because they are emotionally invested in a situation. And then we see that with politicians. But let me not labor too much and go overboard. But yeah, those are my submissions this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Citizen Opinion Network. You see, when you go for too long, I forget them. just in 30 seconds, please.
Okay, let me try to assist.
Okay, cool.
There was some time when the Gwabini name was mentioned, but Lloyd didn't really commit on that day whether he's going to call Gwabini or not. So I don't know whether he's going to be called, but Baloy was very reluctant to say yes, he's gonna come or not. He just left that point hanging. So he may come, he may not come, but for the fact that he didn't really confirm, I have my doubts. Like, we started to know that Kelly is not going to be the witness on I think the 27th of October, when Tabiseng was saying, Kelly said, Balu was like, oh, don't mention what Kelly's saying, and what Kelly's saying. And later on, Baloy confirmed it was a bit later to say he's not going to come. So I'm not sure with regards to Kwabini. But on the money issue, my friend, I can tell you that they got more than 200,000, close to 3. But what they were promised was a bit closer to 500,000, 450, 60,000. But what made these guys to create, to quarrel, especially Muzi and Ntanzi, is they realized that they got less money.
Yeah.
And when they started to realize that they've got less money, they started wanting more money, and the money was not coming. And then they started talking like, I'll sit with you, citizen, and say, these guys, we had a plan, man. These guys, they promised us so and so, but we got less money and all that. Up until it came out that, in fact, the plan that they had was of Senzo Meyiwa. So, but the bottom line, when the family entered to resolve this matter and to make sure it is kept under wraps, it was because they realized there was more money and they wanted that share and they were not getting it.
Yeah, those are the issues. Thank you, Official Minister, and thank you, Citizen Opinion Network. Okay, guys, it's 20 past 10. Usually on a Friday, we would have stopped a long time ago by 9 o'clock. But we still have 1.3 people on the live. So I think we are going to push up until 11, not later than 11, because I still need to download this live. And when it goes beyond 3 hours, it takes a lot of time to download. I don't know if it's my phone or my network, but sometimes I can take about 2 hours to download these things. So I'm going to request that we're not going to go beyond 11 o'clock. And hopefully, before we get to that point, we would have hit 1 million likes. We're now on 800,000 likes, and thank you for that. Thank you to all our gifters. Somebody saying I'm
We are
using to sell.
we are on 800 K. Some of us who use these
Let me just
iPhones,
a quick one.
we can
Yeah,
see.
no, before 1 million, Minister, we are on par, Android and Apple. You only step away after 1 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Since we spoke about the money, just touch on the motive, please, because I don't understand why you would spend so much money if you're not going to be able to get a return on investment, right?
Let's see if
Citizen,
Mama can help us
Bradeni.
with motive. Mama,
Motive for whom? Wait, okay. Wait a little
Kelly
bit,
Khumalo.
Citizen. Good evening, Pradeni. Good
good evening.
evening, official minister. Good evening, everyone.
Yebo.
Former panelists now, and everyone in the comment section. What a busy Friday. What a busy Friday. Ke neng re busy ka mafielo? I were sleeping today.
And we are breastfeeding again.
What's okay? What's okay? But it's okay. It's okay. Citizen, you are asking about the motive of Kelly Khumalo. I get.
That is correct.
You are asking about Kelly Khumalo's motive for what?
For spending that money, killing a person. What is his
Which
motive of
man?
disbursement?
Wait,
Official
wait.
minister,
For
let me
Citizen,
kante
for
kukumama
which
no
man?
lega. No lega kante.
Ning.
Gona be no.
No, sir.
Yes.
Okay, come on live from 7 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, no ogare no look groove.
From 7 o'clock.
Okay.
That's like we pela.
Okay, all right.
No,
No,
Citizen.
hey.
I want to understand your question, and I want you to understand your own question.
Yo.
And I want you to be able to apply it to the evidence that is before the court. Or now, what motive are you looking for from Kelly?
Okay.
For what?
All right. Okay. Let me explain. Okay, so the evidence that has been led is linking Kelly as the mastermind, Dagger,
Of what?
for the murder of Senzo Meyiwa.
Okay.
Right? You with me? So all I'm trying to do now is, if you're a mastermind, that means you must have paid money for work to be done, right? For you, right?
But the primary question that you need to ask yourself is, right? Which trial are you dealing with right now?
Mama.
I think we want to align your thought process properly. You understand?
I'm not lost.
So right now, this is the problem.
Uh-huh.
Sotho official, mara o Mosotho wena. There is this thing ka Sotho re re o ska fofa moropa o se tshwa o lla.
Okay.
So basically, Citizen,
We're not
Mama.
there yet.
Coco Mama says,
Yeah,
we don't know yet because we are still going
We,
to find
I
out.
know we don't
and then
know.
what I'm basically saying, Gor, we are not yet trying Kelly for anything at this point. Right now, we are trying the 5 accused for shooting Senzo in the house.
But based on their
The
evidence,
motive that you must be asking, again, which is, and then this is the whole point of what I must actually be explaining today. You
okay,
have had pieces of evidence, right?
right,
Today. There were 2 confessions that were read in court. That is what
right,
is in court, right?
right.
So those 2 statements, people have been confused and complaining a lot about the many contradictions and the things that do not fit into the grander scheme of things that we know about this case so far.
So
Am I still
what
with you?
motive must I ask? You said there's a motive that I must ask myself.
You must understand how cases are prosecuted and how cases are investigated. How do we arrive at a prosecution in a particular trial?
Okay.
Okay, I've spoken about this before. But now the problem also is, okay, but anyway, let me leave that alone. All right. The issue now is they must prove that these people have committed this crime. And in order to do that, they need to prove 3 elements. I've been singing this song for the longest. They must prove means, motive, and opportunity. Means meaning, how did they kill Senzo? Did they have the means to kill Senzo? They had a gun. That is the evidence that is led in court. Number 3,
All of those
had
things
a
have been
gun.
addressed, to be honest, based
It's
on the evidence.
addressed. That means the means has now been led in court. It's established. They have
Right.
proved the means, right? And they have managed to put now, with this current confession, they have managed to put that very same gun in the possession and in the hands of accused number 3.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kukuma, but
Are
you
you with
still
me? Are you with me?
you started
Because
something and you are
I need you
digressing.
to understand what is happening, right? So that you can be with us, right? Now, what they're doing now, right?
Okay,
These
hold on.
statements that they are reading now in court, what have you definitely been able to establish with
I've established
even despite the
clearly
fact that they are saying
Kelly
whoever was
Khumalo,
wearing a pink cap, yeah,
but Kelly Khumalo has mentioned twice. My question,
go on,
simple. Okay,
Citizen,
maybe revise my
go on.
question.
Citizen.
What could be Kelly Khumalo's motive if indeed she is the
We are not
mastermind?
dealing with Kelly Khumalo
Okay.
yet. We are not
Okay.
dealing with Kelly Khumalo yet. Right now, you must be able to follow a trial and understand how is a trial unfolding in order to understand what it is that you need to be looking for. You understand?
Coco.
But am I not allowed to be curious?
You can be curious, but right now, Agiri, we are dealing with what is happening in court.
Okay, citizen opinion and
Coco and Citizen. Guys, Coco, you are making
Official.
making things difficult, and just because you are related to Masemola, it doesn't. We need to come in.
Ronald,
Citizen wants to find out if do we know the motive as it stands now. Now,
We don't
Citizen,
right now.
according to Coco, the answer is we don't know the motive right now.
No.
And he also goes further, Coco Mama, and says this is not a time to know the motive.
For
The time for
Kelly.
motive will come at a later stage when a lady who said she wants her day in court comes.
Yeah.
But
Kelly.
yes, but if ever these guys know motive or there is an evidence that shows motive, it will present itself, it can present itself even before she comes. Maybe we'll know back then. So, in short, my brother, the answer is no motive is known as yet.
And can
And
we conclude the debate? Because remember, guys, I said we are stopping the live at 11
11
o'clock
o'clock.
and we will have to give other people a chance. So thank you, citizen opinion.
Thank you. Thank
Let's
you,
allow,
Kukumam.
yes.
Thank you, citizen.
Yeah, citizen took an opportunity, Pradeni,
Yes.
when you went for a short adjournment. That was never approved by this court. He decided to take over. And yeah, he did.
Overindulgence.
Yes.
Okay, Friday, I'm allowed.
All right, Kukumama,
Sure.
let's proceed.
Brady, what citizen actually started on is actually what I is part of what I wanted to address.
Yes.
You know, there have been a lot of questions and confusions regarding the statements. These statements have even been underestimated to say, well, these statements, they don't say much. So, and they are contradictory in nature because this one is saying silver polo, the other one is saying white polo. You understand? All those little details that they're mentioning. However, I need us to understand that whenever a piece of evidence is introduced, right, it has a particular thing that it wants to prove. Evidence is there to prove a particular thing. So these statements have been able to establish something. They have been able to establish for us that these guys did not go into the house to go and steal cell phones and money. They have been able to establish for us something because in both statements, they have said that they are there to kill Senzo because they were hired to do so. So that is now something that has been laid bare in court. Whether someone is saying white polo or silver polo, that is immaterial to what these statements are seeking to prove. All right. So we now know that there has been money paid. So meaning this is not a robbery gone wrong. This is by the admittance of both accused. They are saying it was a hit. So now we know definitely it is not a robbery gone wrong. That has been established in court. The second thing that it has done is that it has implicated a so-called mastermind. Right. But also further, what it has also done is that they have number one and number two, what is not in dispute, even though we can be arguing about Marco and what is the Kimba, or who's the other guy? Makimba. Even though we can be like trying to find something about Makimba and Marco and whoever. What has been established and what is not in dispute is that they themselves, accused number one, have placed themselves at the scene. They have said, I was involved, I was there. So this is no longer a question now. That has been proved. So when we are faced with a piece of evidence, we need to understand what is this piece of evidence seeking to prove. Besides all of these other things that may be coming in looking contradictory, it is always proving something. And it has, at this point, established three things. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Prateni,
Yes, Official Minister.
Mabio will take my closing minutes and close for us.
Yes, I think we still have two people ahead of him.
No, I'm just saying so that the protocol, I'm just following protocol.
Okay. Fanele,
Thank you, Prateni.
just quickly, because we
I'm
are about to run out of time.
gonna be very quick, Prateni.
Yes.
I think I need to quickly clarify something. Someone said something about me having studied criminology or something like that. I need to clear that out. I actually studied the LLB. I was in the first class of the LLB. We were calling it the new LLB back then. So I'm not a criminologist. Let's get that out of the way. Secondly, I hear a lot of people talking about this side winning and that side losing. That is not the intention of the criminal justice process or the prosecution. The intention is to find the truth. Once the truth is found, we then apply the law to the truth. So we need to get that and understand and make sure that that is why you see different court officials executing their roles, whether be it a prosecutor or a defense attorney or a presiding officer, court orderlies, etc. They are all helping the court to find the truth, after which then the law is applied. So we need to have the correct understanding. I also hear a lot of people, Bradeni, talking about what has been proven, what we know as a matter of fact. I don't understand how we have arrived at that. With the stage at which we are at, evidence has been presented. The evidential value of that evidence is something that the court still needs to determine. So what we are now doing is, on the basis of what has been said in court, we are just analyzing our understanding of what it means or what it does not mean. So I don't understand all these emotions around people being allegedly confused by this or that. So I think we need to just calm down a bit and understand where we are in terms of the court process. And lastly, the issue of the modus operandi that I used, I did not even say that this is the wrong way or what the killers should have said. I don't know the killers. I don't know the way Inkabis operate, Britain. All I was saying is, based on what normally we will hear about how they operate, this is a bizarre killing that they would have done. In fact, if I was in the defense team, what I would do is I would call an expert witness to lead evidence on the modus operandi of Inkabis, just to put it on record and in front of the court to say, this is how normally the killings are done. And then it is up to the state then to say, why is it that this, out of all these killings, this was done differently? Because remember, this is my last point. All the defense has to do, Bradeni, in this is to cast doubt on the state's version. They don't have to disprove that their people did not kill Senzo. They just have to cast doubt, because the standard of proof that the state has to meet in proving their case is beyond reasonable doubt. So if they cast any aspersions, then they have done their job. Thank you, and good night, colleagues. I really need to call it a night now.
Thank you, Fanele. Tank, you can unmute your microphone.
Okay, thanks, Bradini. I just want to ask one thing for people who stay in Tembisa. When Muzi was testifying, He claimed that he doesn't know Ntanzi hostel. For me, it's hard to believe that someone who stays in Muzi cannot know Ntanzi hostel, because when you're coming from Kempton Park, passing Klorkoop, you have to pass by Ntanzi hostel. That Muzi claimed to have never been there and doesn't even know it. I don't know if that is possible. Yeah, that is my submission. I just don't trust the Umuzi. For people who are in Tembisa, is it possible to not know Ntanzi hostel if you are staying in Vusmos? It's like 500 meters away from each other. Yeah, so Muzi is very questionable. And then another thing, I'm not sure if the plan was to actually kill Senzo inside the house. I don't remember if Zandi said that they went to Senzo and Kelly, they went somewhere to buy something at the shop late at night. So it's possible that maybe the plan wasn't to kill him inside the house, but maybe timing and just like the AKA thing. That's just how I was thinking about it. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Tank. You are bringing a very important issue over and above the issue of Muzi Sibiya. I have said it before as well that I don't think the intention was to kill Senzo inside the house. The intention could have been on the road, like people said, drive-by shootings. But I think what could have also caused a bit of concern would have been the company of Tumelo and Mthokozisi. Because if indeed Kelly was coordinating with these guys, at some stage she would have told them that we are in a car and there's two guys. And you don't know if these guys are armed or not. So this Ingabis wouldn't have taken chances, or it could have just been an issue of timing, like you say. So I think the issue of coming inside the house was just the last desperate measure to say, let's just do it, guys, and get this thing done with. But thank you for that submission. All right, guys, we've got my bio back. We are currently sitting on 928,000 likes. It's clear if we can all double tap non-stop 1.2 people on this live, by the time my bio finish speaking, we should be on 1 million likes.
There is Tandolo too. Can you see Tando?
Yes, I can see Tandolo too. Tandolo, do you still have something to say?
I have a question for Mabio.
Yes.
Is it fine, Prateni?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Mabio bhuti, mina bengifuna ukwazi ne uGinindi lona lirhatele njani. Sengisitsho ukuthi uba xa iphaka amajita ewathatha esithini lirhatele njani.
Yeah, then I guess he can close as well, brother, while answering the question. Mabio, you're on mute. Captain wakho lo.
Ayi akumazi afuna uqamba akumazi.
Manje ngithi ucaptain wakho lo ungazivalelela mfowethu. Bathi ungavala wathi qim shelele. Wavala
Seqeda uthando
washare
lwethu
information.
La majita lana uthi uyawazi ne ingxaki yam, or rather endizama uyi-understanda ne yazi ukuthi yawazi ukuthi asuka phi, bangobani, benzani. Sinengxaki apha bhuti, ingxaki yethu sizama uku-understanda inkabi ukuthi amajita athisha kanjani, asebenza kanjani la majita. Uyava ngoba kukho abantu abasitshelayo apho ukuthi zii-professionals kukho abantu abathi uba aba bantu kukho indawo abaya kuyo bakwazi ukuthi batreyine. Basebenza kanjani amajita?
Bhuti lapho angeke ngoba angisuke ngekho lapha, angeke kuchaze ukuthi mhlawumbe basebenza kanjani. Mhlawumbe ayingami lento lena, mhlawumbe usungangibuza wena ukuthi okay, ungangibuzi futhi. Ngizocela nje mina ukuchaza mhlawumbe engingakuchaza ukuthi mhlawumbe sikhona ukuthi mhlawumbe lapha mhlawumbe sibe kobunye umqondo kuphela. Hathi ngifuna
Mabiyo, we can't hear you. I don't know if it's only me, guys. I can't hear him.
Yeah, it's only you, Bradeni.
Can you hear him, official minister? And
Yes, uyazwakala. Kamnandi nje. Siyakuzwa Mabiyo, ungachubeka mfowethu.
Okay
Khululeka,
bafo.
khululeka baba.
Ngisho lokhu bafo ukuthi cha bafo angibazi basebenza kanjani. Umuntu engimazi kulabantu laba abawu5 bawu3 engibaziyo 3 4 5 kodwa engimazi kakhulu number 3 4 5 6 4 5 abangani baka number 3 kuphela. 1 2 angibazi, angiqaba manga.
Thandolo 2.
Ngiyakuzwa bhuti, ngiyabonga. Manje inkinga yesibini enginayo ne mawuthi wazi u3 4 5 lamajita bengamajita kanjani la khona la emphakathini? Bengamajita kanjani? Bengamajita aziphilelayo, bengamajita aphakamayo, bengamajita avaya isigela ayatheshayo, bebesenzani bona?
Cha ngizocela ungachazi ke mhlambe lokho cause laba ababili shuthi 4 5 ngibazi nami sengisegoli, so angibazi kusukela emakhaya, angibazi.
Ngiyabonga bhuti. It's fine Bradeni.
Thank you. Thank you, Thandolo
I
2.
think good night.
Thank you. Okay, Mabiyo, kukhona okunye ufuna ukusitshela khona.
Alright Brady, an official alright ke. Okay. Engukhumbulayo. Noma ngeke ngibe specific ukuthi bekunini. Engikhumbulayo August 2013 uMakhimba noMakho baboshwa. Alright, uSinphiwe waphuma, I'm not sure September or October 2013. uSinphiwe waphuma engasakhumbuli lutho nje, sewumuntu ogulayo. Okunye ke mhlawumbe unga-inbox mhlawumbe kwakwenza kanjani cause mhlawumbe sengavela kabi kwabanye abantu. Mhlawumbe sengafika kabuhlungu kwabanye abantu. Ngasho kanje waphuma 2013 mhlawumbe ongangisiza ukuthi mhlawumbe ukuseshe or uku-investigate ukuthi mhlawumbe istatement leso sika Brigadier Geninde 2020 bafike emakhaya bazomopha 2020 then bathola nabo ukuthi useyagula, akusenamuntu, akusenanto engabasiza ngayo, base bembuyisa bangabe besambopha. So ngoma ungakhona ukuthi ngithole i-statement sakhe mhlambe basikhiphe nini ukhiphe le shuthi lento le kuthiwa uyishilo usho nini.
Yeah, but uyisho ngo
okay, usunga inbox akuni because okunye ayi lokho angeke ngisho ukuthi mhlawumbe kuli abengeke esakhumbula because be umuntu onamatekisi kodwa bengasakhumbula ukuthi unamatekisi by 10. Be umuntu sengisho be umuntu nje be right benamatekisi ephila nje kahle kodwa bengasakhumbula ukuthi unanetekisi by 2020. So usunga inbox ake for more information.
Yeah, ngizokucheckela i-date then inboxela yona.
Bradini bayacela
Please.
Yes, official minister.
ibandla liyacela mfowethu kakhulu bayasithoba bathi bayacela ukuthi utranslate ukuthi bekukhulunywa ngani.
Okay, I think Tanduluetu started by asking Mabio some few questions in terms of his knowledge of accused number 3, 4, and 5, because Mabio says the person that he really knows is accused number 3. Number 4 and 5, he only got to know them through number 3. So Tanduluetu asked him, what kind of people are they in terms of their lifestyle, working, what were they doing for a living? And he said he couldn't really answer that question. He requested not to go much into that question. And then after Tandoloti's questions, I asked him if there's anything that he still wants to add, and he asked me to get him the exact date. Gininda is saying Simphiwe Buthelezi gave him a statement because by the time they came to fetch Simphiwe Buthelezi, he was already sick. He was very sick, so they came to take him and then returned him back, but he was very sick. So I agreed with him that I will verify. I think Gininda said he took a statement from Simphiwe in 2020, but I will verify that exact date and inbox him, and we can take the conversation from that point. So yeah, I think that's basically what was said. I don't know if I missed anything, Tandolo, too.
But Danny, there was the part of Ginindi. He also said he doesn't know Ginindi. I asked him how does he know Ginindi in terms of how he's been making arrest and all of that, and he said no, he doesn't know Ginindi. Yeah,
Yes.
and then the Nkabi situation, didn't want to comment on that as well. I asked him about them being professionals and how they conduct themselves. He didn't want to answer that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
No.
right.
Yeah.
Ngisekhona uGinida ufikile wabopha uMakhimba eqala kabusha. Then eqala kabusha wathatha uMakhimba ebeboshiwe 2014 wamyeka. Then 2020 wafika ekhaya wabopha uSimphiwe Buthelezi. Wathotha asakhumbula lutho bhuti. Wakhona futhi wasembuyisa emuva. Bacetha ambuyisele emuva. Okay. Enye into uma ube mhlawumbe udinga information ngalokho mhlawumbe icourt ingakhona ukuthi iyofuna ama-record eklinikhi ebeyihamba wamafizo ebewahamba Simphiwe because waboshwa wayegwetshiwe ne then uma ephuma ejele uphuma ngoba vele akasakhoni ukuthi mhlawumbe asizakale or ayisize or enzeke nengasakhumbula ukuthi vele bokuthi akusenanto engabasiza ngayo bamkhipha bambuyisela ekhaya. Okay, ngicabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe angazi noma understand or kuyezwakala ngendlela embe yangakhona.
Yeah, I think yeah, Zola. Tandolo, can you help me with translation on this one?
Simphiwe begwetshiwe.
Yeah, it says Simphiwe was sentenced, and then during the sentencing, and then he was released because of his condition. So he also says maybe we can get the records at the clinic. Yeah, as far as I heard.
Yeah, I think that's precisely it.
Yeah, and then Bradeni, Kininda, I think Mabio says at that time in 2020, Simphiwe was very sick and he couldn't remember most of the things. One of the things is Simphiwe couldn't remember that he had taxes in 2020. And he's questioning the fact that Simphiwe made this statement in 2020. But we know, according to Kininda, June 2020, Simphiwe went to Vosloorus and where he had something like Muzi attempted to kill the girlfriend, and Muzi's father was also involved in trying to resolve that particular matter where the girlfriend was attempted to be killed, and something towards that line. So the question will then be, if was Simpiwe that sick in June 2020, and if so, what did Kininda mean by saying Simpiwe was in for Loras around June 2020? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Official Minister. Yeah, Mabio.
Alright, okay, 2020 samile emaphoyintini wami ukuthi ebengasakhumbuli lutho, angicabanga ukuthi wayengakhona bemvumele ekhaya ukuthi eze eGoli by then. Ngisamile lapho, kodwa-ke mhlawumbe kodwa nje-ke 2020 angicabanga ukuthi besakhumbula lutho, bengasakhumbuli lutho ngaleso sikhathi.
Nansi indaba mfethu, ngicela ubuza nje kancinci mabuyi. Lamajita uNtanzi noMuzi ne bathi babethwa ngamapolisa ne. Khona into yaziyo ngaleyo, babethwa okanye kwenza kanjani?
Angibazi mfowethu labo, angifuni uqamba amanga.
Okay, I think we can leave it here for tonight. Mabio, siyabonga kakhulu mfowethu ngokusichazela some of these things that we were not sure of. If kukhona okunye okukhumbulayo zizokhuluma nawo ngan-inboxa if kukhona okunye ofuna ukusitshela khona. Nami ngizokucheckela le date ukuthi uSimphiwe usitshele nini i-statement kuGininda.
Wenze nini a-statement?
Wenze nini, usikhulume nini, ya usenze nini ish.
Akunankinga Bridge, nokuthi usenze ngesilungu, ngangisekho lapho ema-proceeding usenze ngesilungu. Ayi, lapho anginadoubt futhi, lapho akuna-stress.
Yeah. No, siyabonga.
Sharp.
We are coming to join. Bradeni, after this, come and fetch me. We are going to join Mabio. There is a party there. We are coming, my brother.
Yes. All right, guys. I think this is where we should leave it for tonight. I need to get down to downloading. This live is gonna take a while because it's now full 3 hours. So let's call it a day. Tandolo too, parting shots.
I think maybe we'll never know what is the motive. Maybe we'll know, we don't know, right?
Yes.
We live in a sick society. We have people who do things, Prateni. A man kills his whole family, gets sentenced, no one says anything. So to really know the true nature of murder, I think we'll never get there. So maybe we'll know the motive in this one. It remains unknown. We'll see. Good night.
Thank you, Tandolo. Official Minister.
Now my time was taken by Mabio. Good night to everyone else.
Thank you. Okay, thank you guys for joining us this evening. Thank you to everyone who participated on the comment section, on the panel, everybody who joined us from Kwambetu Yajiga across all the 9 provinces, our neighboring countries, all over Africa, all over the world. We thank you guys for your support. And as we conclude, guys, one important thing that we forgot to mention throughout the life. The confessions of Gongani, Ntanzi and Muzi Sibiya, as Advocate Charles Munisi insisted that Baloyi read that into the record, cannot be used against anyone. They cannot be used against accused number 3, 4, 5. And most definitely they won't be used against Kelly Khumalo. For me, this is just a confidence booster. For them to be accepted is just a confidence booster for the state. But they will definitely not be used against 3, 4, 5. They won't be used against Kelly Khumalo, but they shed some light on her involvement. And like some people were saying, what they are saying about Kelly Khumalo is basically hearsay. They don't have first-hand knowledge whether Kelly Khumalo indeed ordered the hit. But let's worry not, because the police do have information. The police do have evidence and questions that Kelly Khumalo will have to answer. So let's not stress about that. So let's meet again on Monday, guys. Same time, same place. We are expecting Magistrate Kronje and Lieutenant Colonel Khadebe to return to come and place the confessions and the pointing out that they took. Up until then, good night, guys. Good night, everybody. I'm gonna stop the live now. I won't be doing those special good nights. So good night to everybody. See you on Monday. Sharp, sharp.